Echoes from the presidential past welcome, fellow seekers of the supernatural and lovers of presidential history, to Whispers in the White House Shadows, your gateway to the chilling tales and haunted histories that linger within America's presidential landmarks. As we gather here tonight, surrounded by the comforting glow of our screens, we embark on a journey that transcends mere ghost stories and delves into the very essence of what makes the James A. Garfield National Historic Site one of our nation's most intriguing haunted locations. This channel has become a sanctuary for those who feel the pull of ancient energies, who sense that there's more to the stately rooms and manicured grounds than meets the eye, and who crave authentic stories that make even the most familiar historical sites seem to run cold with supernatural energy. Established as Lawnfield in 1876 by James A. Garfield, this magnificent estate in Mentor, Ohio, served not only as the home of our 20th president but also as the site of his unprecedented front porch campaign during the 1880 election. The property's significance extends far beyond its political history. It stands as a testament to the complex intersection of personal tragedy, national ambition, and ultimately, violent death. From the moment Garfield purchased the modest farmhouse and began transforming it into a grand Victorian estate, the location seemed destined to become more than just a presidential residence. It evolved into a nexus point where history and haunting converge in ways that continue to unsettle visitors to this day. What sets the James A. Garfield National Historic Site apart from other haunted locations is the sheer diversity and persistence of its paranormal activity. Unlike many historical homes where spirits manifest through specific, predictable phenomena, the entities here exhibit a remarkable range of behaviors and characteristics. You might encounter the mournful whispers of Lucretia Garfield echoing through the library, feel the icy touch of the president himself walking the halls, or witness the playful antics of their children still chasing each other through the moonlit gardens. These manifestations occur not just during midnight hours but throughout the day, with visitors reporting encounters at all times, suggesting that the veil between worlds here remains perpetually thin. The site's architecture itself serves as a conduit for paranormal activity. The combination of Victorian-era construction techniques, with their thick wood paneling and ornate plasterwork, creates spaces that seem almost designed for haunting. The extensive network of secret passages and hidden rooms, originally installed for security purposes, now serve as pathways for spirits moving between realms. Most significantly, the property's unique position atop an ancient Native American burial ground adds layers of spiritual energy that predate even the original farmhouse, creating a supernatural palimpsest where countless generations of souls seem to converge. As we explore the James A. Garfield National Historic Site's most haunted corners, we'll uncover stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about life after death. From the opulent presidential suites to the humble servants' quarters, each location carries its own unique brand of terror. We'll meet caretakers who felt phantom hands brushing against theirs during routine maintenance, tour guides who've watched apparitions materialize before groups of tourists, and historians who've documented decades-old hauntings that continue uninterrupted to this day. So, grab your flashlight, dim the lights, and prepare yourself for an evening of stories that will leave you both fascinated and thoroughly unsettled. Whether you're planning your first visit to Mentor or you're a lifelong resident who's always wondered about the shadows lurking among familiar hallways, you've come to the right place. Let's raise our lanterns, literal or metaphorical, to the spirits among us, and begin our journey through the James A. Garfield National Historic Site's most haunted grounds. The Eternal Campaigner, President Garfield's unfinished journey. In the heart of the James A. Garfield National Historic Site stands the presidential study, a room forever frozen in time on the fateful morning of July 2, 1881, when Charles Gouteau's bullet altered the course of American history. What began as a serene space for contemplation and decision-making has transformed into something far more unsettling, a supernatural office where time seems to have stopped mid-campaign. The haunting centers around the spirit of James A. Garfield himself, whose presence continues to manifest with the same determination and purpose that characterized his brief presidency. The manifestation of President Garfield's spirit began shortly after his assassination, when household staff reported seeing their former employer sitting at his desk, reviewing papers and dictating letters as if nothing had changed. Current visitors describe witnessing impossible phenomena surrounding these appearances. Security cameras have captured images of a distinguished figure in period attire writing furiously at the desk, producing documents that vanished before reaching completion. Maintenance workers speak of finding fresh ink stains on blotting paper and half-written speeches appearing overnight in the president's distinctive handwriting. Most disturbing are the reports from night security personnel who have encountered the president during their rounds. Several guards have described finding themselves face-to-face with a translucent figure standing precisely 6 feet tall, emanating a faint bluish glow that matches descriptions of Garfield's appearance in life. The apparition reportedly speaks in a clear, authoritative voice, often asking about current events or inquiring about developments in civil service reform, issues he championed during his brief tenure. Particularly chilling are the instances where the spirit has been observed interacting with living visitors, offering political advice or warning them about corruption in government before fading back into the ether. The president's spectral presence extends beyond simple visual manifestations. Visitors report hearing distinct footsteps pacing the study floor, accompanied by the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock that stopped at the exact moment of his death. Some have captured audio recordings of a man reciting Shakespearean passages or working through complex mathematical equations, though no physical source can be identified. Most alarmingly, several incidents involve visitors experiencing sudden, intense stomach pains, mirroring Garfield's final months of suffering, before being overcome with waves of nausea and dizziness. Thermal imaging has revealed distinct humanoid shapes congregating near the president's desk, suggesting that some spirits may be attempting to assist their fallen leader in completing his unfinished work. Notably, attempts to measure these anomalies using standard equipment frequently result in equipment failure or inexplicable data corruption, suggesting that whatever presence inhabits the study actively resists scientific scrutiny. Despite, or perhaps because of, his persistent haunting, President Garfield's spirit has become an unofficial guardian of the historic site. Current staff members report finding freshly organized documents and neatly arranged books, despite no scheduled maintenance having occurred in the study. Fresh flowers appear regularly on the president's desk, their stems perfectly intact and free of wilting, suggesting supernatural intervention. Most significantly, several incidents of vandalism and theft have been thwarted by an invisible force that reportedly knocked intruders unconscious or caused their equipment to malfunction dramatically. This sophisticated haunting presents an intriguing contrast to more conventional ghost stories. The spirit of James A. Garfield seems to maintain the same level of authority and purpose expected of his mortal presidency, creating an atmosphere where the supernatural feels almost organized. Even the most skeptical visitors find themselves straightening their posture and lowering their voices under the watchful eyes of an entity who clearly remembers his responsibilities to the nation he served. Whether serving as a backdrop for historical preservation or intimate reflection, the James A. Garfield National Historic Site continues to function as a meeting place where the boundaries between past and present dissolve with each creaking floorboard and each whispered story shared beneath its ancient roof. The Lady of Lawnfield, Lucretia's lingering presence in the elegant chambers of the second-floor private quarters. The spirit of Lucretia Rudolph Garfield maintains a vigilant presence that defies the passage of time. As both First Lady and devoted wife, her influence extended far beyond traditional domestic roles, transforming the family's private spaces into command centers for managing both household affairs and matters of state. Current visitors report experiencing phenomena centered around her meticulous attention to detail and unwavering dedication to preserving her husband's legacy, qualities that persist even in death. The haunting manifests through a series of increasingly detailed domestic activities. Staff members routinely discover rooms immaculately cleaned and organized according to standards long abandoned by modern housekeeping practices. Bed linens are found pressed with precision, furniture arranged in patterns matching photographs from the Garfield era, and fresh flowers cut from the garden placed in vases according to seasonal availability. Most disturbing are the reports of a woman in period dress observed supervising cleaning crews, her ethereal form visible in mirrors before vanishing without a trace. These manifestations, coupled with the overwhelming sense of being watched that pervades the space, have made the private quarters a focal point for paranormal investigation. Beyond domestic duties, Lucretia's spirit exhibits remarkable intelligence and purpose in its haunting. Current occupants report feeling an intense pressure on their shoulders when handling historical artifacts or documents, as if someone were standing directly behind them. Security cameras have captured images of a woman in mourning dress adjusting window treatments and rearranging furniture, only to disappear when approached. Perhaps most terrifying are the recurring apparitions of Lucretia at her writing desk, penning letters that materialize briefly before dissolving into thin air. Analysis of these ephemeral documents reveals perfect replicas of her handwriting, containing messages that often prove prophetic regarding upcoming events at the site. Paranormal researchers have identified several key characteristics of Lucretia's behavior. Her presence correlates directly with significant anniversaries and historical commemorations, becoming most active during periods associated with her husband's presidency and subsequent death. Electromagnetic field readings spike erratically within 20 feet of her portrait, creating interference with electronic devices and causing temporary memory loss in visitors. Thermal imaging reveals distinct cold spots forming geometric patterns that shift position according to some unknown intelligence, suggesting coordinated movement rather than random energy fluctuations. Attempts to document the phenomenon yield intriguing yet perplexing results. High-speed cameras capture images of Lucretia moving at impossible speeds, her form dissolving and reforming through solid objects. Audio equipment records overlapping voices speaking in multiple languages, including French and German, languages she mastered during her lifetime, despite all accounts confirming that no such speakers were present. Most notably, visitors' photographs frequently show additional figures standing beside them, their features obscured by swirling mist that shouldn't exist in Ohio's temperate climate. Management at the James A. Garfield National Historic Site approaches this supernatural occurrence with a mixture of reverence and practicality. Rather than attempting to exorcise or ignore the phenomenon, they've incorporated it into the visitor experience. Special First Ladies Tours draw both skeptics and believers, offering a safe space for visitors to share their own paranormal experiences while learning about Lucretia's contributions to American history. The current administration maintains a detailed log of paranormal occurrences, creating a comprehensive record of activity that spans over a century. Scientific investigations by various research teams have yielded groundbreaking insights. Biophysicists studying the phenomenon suggest the mansion's unique limestone foundation and proximity to underground water sources create natural amplifiers for psychic energy. Historians analyzing the collected data have identified patterns matching Lucretia's documented daily routines, suggesting a collective consciousness among the spirits that transcends individual lifetimes. Most significantly, quantum physicists have detected temporal anomalies during manifestations, with atomic clocks registering slight deviations in time flow that correspond with the haunting's intensity. This sophisticated haunting presents an intriguing contrast to more conventional ghost stories, where spirits manifest through recognizable human behaviors or emotions. The spirit of Lucretia Garfield appears to operate according to rules entirely consistent with her mortal existence, manipulating both physical reality and consciousness in ways that defy scientific measurement. Even the most skeptical visitors find themselves snapping to attention and addressing the air with formal respect when confronted with phenomena that consistently breach the boundaries of what should be possible in the natural world. Eternal playtime. In the eastern wing of the James A. Garfield National Historic Site lies the nursery, a space that has transformed from a haven for young lives into a supernatural playground where childhood innocence refuses to fade. Home to the Garfield children, Harry, James, Mary, Irvin, Abram, and Edward, during their formative years, this wing has become a permanent stage for their eternal youth, where laughter and play continue uninterrupted by the passage of time or the tragic deaths that claim two of their number. The haunting manifests through a progression of increasingly vivid auditory and visual experiences. It begins with the faint sound of children's laughter and whispering, barely audible above the rustle of period-appropriate curtains. As evening approaches, these sounds coalesce into distinct voices singing nursery rhymes and playground songs from the late 19th century. Visitors report hearing everything from traditional lullabies to forgotten street chants, performed in perfect harmony by voices ranging from toddler-like pitches to those of teenagers. Most chilling are the moments when contemporary children join in, their living voices blending seamlessly with the spectral choir until they realize their companions aren't physically present. Current witnesses describe witnessing impossible phenomena during these performances. Security cameras have captured images of shadowy figures skipping rope and playing hopscotch between the antique furniture, their movements perfectly synchronized despite lacking visible communication. Maintenance workers speak of finding toys and dolls arranged in elaborate patterns atop the heirloom furniture, only to disappear by morning. Perhaps most terrifying are the reports of ghostly hands emerging from sealed trunks, clapping rhythmically to the music before withdrawing back into the woodwork. The emotional impact on witnesses proves equally disturbing. Adults report feeling overwhelming waves of nostalgia and grief, recalling childhood memories they'd long forgotten or experiencing emotions they never personally lived through. Children visiting the nursery often refuse to leave the area, claiming they're waiting for friends who went upstairs already. Psychologists studying these effects have documented cases of temporary memory loss and identity confusion, with some subjects temporarily adopting mannerisms and speech patterns consistent with different historical periods. Paranormal researchers have identified several key figures within the spectral nursery. Most prominent is the storyteller, believed to be Mary, Molly, Garfield, whose presence manifests through sudden gusts of wind that arrange pages of antique children's books into elaborate patterns. Her voice emerges as the dominant narrator during bedtime story sessions, guiding living children through tales that shouldn't logically exist in their current form. Equally significant are the twins, identical spirits who lead call and response games, their laughter echoing through the wing long after the main performance concludes. Attempts to document the phenomenon yield intriguing yet perplexing results. Audio equipment records frequencies beyond human hearing range, while thermal imaging reveals heat signatures corresponding to human forms despite the absence of physical bodies. Electromagnetic field readings spike erratically throughout the performances, particularly concentrated around the oldest toys and furniture. Most notably, visitors' cell phones frequently capture video footage showing normal playback speed while recording at accelerated rates, suggesting time dilation effects during the haunting. Ghostly governance in the western wing of the James A. Garfield National Historic Site stands the formal dining room, a space that has evolved from a venue for state dinners and political gatherings into something far more sinister, a supernatural council chamber where the business of governance continues beyond the grave. This haunting centers around the spirits of Garfield's cabinet members and political allies, whose dedication to public service refuses to end with physical death. What began as occasional apparitions during significant anniversaries has developed into a full-fledged spectral administration that convenes regularly to debate matters of state. The manifestation occurs with bureaucratic precision, following protocols that mirror their mortal existence. Each gathering begins precisely at 8 p.m., marked by the sound of chairs scraping across the floor and the distinct metallic clink of silverware and crystal. Witnesses report seeing rows of distinguished figures in period attire seated around the massive mahogany table, their translucent forms illuminated by ghostly candlelight. Most disturbing are the accounts of visitors finding themselves involuntarily pulled into these meetings, compelled to participate until dawn breaks and the spirits disperse. Current staff members speak of witnessing impossible events surrounding these nightly sessions. Security cameras have captured images of elaborate place settings appearing and disappearing within minutes, complete with period-appropriate menus and official documents. Maintenance workers tasked with cleaning the room report their equipment melting like wax in extreme heat, while replacement parts installed during daylight hours vanish by nightfall. Perhaps most terrifying are the accounts of visitors emerging from the room speaking fluent Latin and Greek quotations from classical political texts, despite having no prior knowledge of these languages. The emotional impact on witnesses proves equally disturbing. Those who successfully observe the shadow cabinet often report experiencing overwhelming waves of patriotism mixed with profound anxiety, continuing for days after their visit. Political figures visiting the site frequently return with unexplained injuries, broken bones from falls they cannot recall, deep scratches forming precise geometric patterns across their skin matching Masonic symbols. Most alarmingly, several visitors have disappeared completely after attending these sessions, leaving behind only their personal belongings arranged in elaborate sigils matching ancient occult symbols. Paranormal researchers have identified several key characteristics of the shadow cabinet's behavior. Their presence correlates directly with significant political events, becoming most active during election cycles and national crises when their wisdom is presumably needed most. Electromagnetic field readings spike erratically within 20 feet of the dining table, creating interference with electronic devices and causing temporary memory loss in visitors. Thermal imaging reveals distinct cold spots forming geometric patterns that shift position according to some unknown intelligence, suggesting coordinated movement rather than random energy fluctuations. Attempts to document the phenomenon yield intriguing yet perplexing results. High-speed cameras capture images of the cabinet members moving at impossible speeds, their forms dissolving and reforming through solid objects. Audio equipment records overlapping voices speaking in multiple languages, including archaic forms of English and Greek, despite all accounts confirming that no such speakers were present. Most notably, visitors' photographs frequently show additional figures standing beside them, their features obscured by swirling mist that shouldn't exist in Ohio's temperate climate. Management at the James A. Garfield National Historic Site approaches this supernatural occurrence with a mixture of caution and respect for historical tradition. Warning signs now mark the approach to the formal dining room, advising visitors to avoid the area after sunset or during particular lunar phases. Rangers conduct regular patrols armed with both traditional safety equipment and items blessed by local practitioners, including specially prepared herbs and protective amulets. Despite these precautions, staffing remains a constant challenge, with many employees requesting transfers after encountering phenomena they cannot logically explain. The haunted reputation of the Shadow Cabinet has become an integral part of its identity, attracting curious adventurers and paranormal researchers alongside its regular visitors. The site administration has implemented strict regulations requiring all visitors to check in and out formally, maintaining detailed logs of visitor movements and experiences. Some veteran staff members believe that documenting these encounters helps maintain harmony between the natural and supernatural elements of the space, though they acknowledge that true understanding may forever elude human comprehension. This sophisticated haunting presents an intriguing contrast to more conventional ghost stories, where spirits manifest through recognizable human behaviors or emotions. At the Shadow Cabinet, the supernatural force appears to operate according to rules entirely consistent with governmental protocols, manipulating both physical reality and consciousness in ways that defy scientific measurement. Even the most skeptical visitors find themselves snapping to attention and saluting when confronted with phenomena that consistently breach the boundaries of what should be possible in the natural world. Understanding presidential hauntings, the phenomenon of haunted presidential sites transcends mere folklore or isolated incidents, revealing patterns and commonalities that illuminate deeper truths about the intersection of national leadership and supernatural activity. At the core of these manifestations lies the concept of environmental memory, the idea that spaces associated with significant historical decisions absorb and retain emotional imprints from crucial moments in governance. In sites like the James A. Garfield National Historic Site, the repeated occurrence of political deliberations, national tragedies, and personal sacrifices creates what paranormal researchers term spiritual anchors. These anchors serve as focal points for residual energy, explaining why certain areas consistently produce stronger paranormal activity than others. The geography and ecology of haunted presidential sites play a crucial role in amplifying supernatural phenomena. Natural features such as limestone deposits, underground water sources, and magnetic anomalies seem particularly conducive to retaining and transmitting psychic energy. The basements and underground structures of sites like the formal dining room, with their proximity to earth energy lines and lack of modern interference, act as natural amplifiers for paranormal activity. Similarly, the use of reflective surfaces in staterooms and official portraits creates dimensional portals that some believe allow easier passage between realms, explaining the frequency of reflective apparitions in these spaces. Cultural and historical contexts further influence the nature of hauntings in presidential sites. During periods of war, economic crisis, and social change, these spaces served as both refuge and battleground for the living and the dead, creating environments ripe for tragedy and secrecy. The stress, fear, and adrenaline associated with national leadership left lasting impressions on these spaces, imprinting them with energies that persist long after the original events ended. This explains why sections like the Presidential Study and the Nursery exhibit similar patterns of ghostly activity related to historical trauma, untimely deaths, and unresolved national issues, themes directly tied to their historical functions. Human psychology plays an equally vital role in perpetuating and interpreting these hauntings. The communal nature of presidential site visitation, where strangers gather to share stories and experiences, creates fertile ground for the transmission of paranormal narratives. When combined with factors like patriotism, historical reverence, and exposure to unfamiliar settings, conditions proven to alter perception and increase suggestibility, these environments become perfect incubators for shared supernatural experiences. The phenomenon known as collective consciousness haunting often manifests in presidential sites, where multiple witnesses independently report identical details about encounters, strengthening the credibility of paranormal claims while simultaneously blurring the line between objective reality and collective hallucination. Beyond the final vote, as we reach the end of our journey through the James A. Garfield National Historic Site's haunted grounds, we find ourselves facing a profound truth. These hallowed spaces represent far more than mere collections of ghost stories or tourist attractions. They stand as living monuments to our shared national experience, where triumph and tragedy, celebration and sorrow, leadership and loss intertwine in an eternal dance. The spirits that inhabit these grounds, whether residual energies, intelligent entities, or something beyond our current understanding, serve as reminders that our past refuses to remain buried, quite literally demanding acknowledgement from those who walk among the historical corridors today. The stories we've explored tonight reveal patterns that transcend individual locations, painting a broader picture of how national experience leaves indelible marks on the physical world. From the sophisticated hauntings of the formal dining room to the raw terror of the shadow cabinet, each location teaches us that paranormal activity isn't random or arbitrary. Instead, it follows logical pathways shaped by historical events, architectural features, and cultural contexts. These patterns help us understand not just the nature of hauntings, but the very essence of national consciousness and its relationship with the spaces we inhabit even in death. For those who maintain and visit these historic grounds, the supernatural element has become an integral part of daily life. Caretakers learn to pour fresh ink for invisible statesmen, managers schedule staff around known periods of heightened activity, and regular visitors develop personal relationships with the site's spectral inhabitants. This normalization of the paranormal represents perhaps the most fascinating aspect of these stories: how humans can adapt to, and even embrace, the presence of the unknown in their everyday environments. It speaks to our remarkable capacity to integrate mystery into the historical, finding meaning and connection even in the face of eternity. As we conclude our exploration, let us carry forward the lessons these haunted grounds teach us about history, community, and the unseen forces that shape our nation beyond individual lifetimes. May we approach each new presidential site we enter with open minds and respectful hearts, acknowledging that we walk among those who paved our way. Whether you're a skeptic seeking evidence, a believer looking for validation, or simply someone who enjoys paying respects to those who shaped our country, remember that every haunted presidential site tells a story, and each of us has the potential to become part of that narrative. Before we part ways until our next adventure into the unknown, I want to express my deepest gratitude for joining me on this journey through the James A. Garfield National Historic Site's most haunted grounds. Your presence, whether as a regular viewer or first-time visitor to Whispers in the White House Shadows, means everything to me and helps keep these important stories alive. If tonight's exploration has sparked your curiosity or sent chills down your spine, please consider subscribing to our channel and sharing this video with fellow seekers of the supernatural. Together, we can continue illuminating the shadows where history and mystery converge, one haunted corridor at a time. Until our paths cross again in the realm of the unexplained, keep your eyes open, your senses alert, and your courage strong. Who knows? The next time you step through historic doors or wander among ancient hallways, you might just find yourself sharing space with more than just the living. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with wonder, and perhaps a touch of the eternal.